Today, the budget crawler's getting low. TERA-LOW. Now, if you're not familiar with what TERA-LOW is, it is a kit that was manufactured by Teraflex for a few years, which converted your stock Jeep NP231 transfer case, which comes with, I think, 2.73 to 1 low range, to a 4 to 1 low range, which is what the Jeep Wrangler Rubicons come with. Now, this kit isn't made any longer. I think there were some issues where people were using it beyond its capabilities. It's not the most robust system out there, but if you treat it right, it will last. Now, I got this one off Craigslist, and the guy said it was working fine. I believed him, and I guess we'll find out for sure. Now, I'd like to do a little before and after comparison between the old transfer case and this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the Jeep idle in first gear and 4 low 50 feet, and we'll time how long it takes to go the 50 feet. We'll do that with the old one before we pull it out, and then when we put the new one in, we'll do it with that. I traced out a little line in the snow back there with my foot. That's the start line, and then this measuring wheel handle is going to be the finish line right here. So it was just shy of 17 seconds to go 50 feet. So a little more info on this kit that I picked up before we go ahead and install it. Like I said, it's got the Teraflex 4 to 1 low range. It also has the Teraflex, I think it's called the Extreme Short Shaft Slip Yoke Eliminator Kit. So, usually you got the tail shaft coming out here all the way up to the drive shaft, and this totally eliminates that. And then along with that, I got 2 Adams custom drive shafts that the guy had installed with this transfer case, and he had a 6-inch lift on his Jeep, so those might be a little bit too long for us, but hopefully they'll fit. Alright, so here we've got the old and the new, or newer, transfer case. Gonna do a little side-by-side comparison here. So the output to the front drive shaft, pretty much the same on both of them. As we move along, you can see just the body has a different style to it, just because this is the Teraflex body, or that's the new process body over there, the original one. And then you can really see the difference in the tail shaft here. So that's the slip yoke style, and here we have the slip yoke eliminator, super short, and that's just a big difference. I don't know if I can really get an angle that gives it justice, but it's a major difference. So the breather tube for the original ones up on the front of the transfer case there, where the Teraflex one is on the side here. So I think hopefully our tube will be long enough. If not, we'll stretch it, and if we have to replace it, we'll replace it. Not a big deal. And, yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. Something that I'm noticing here is that the transfer case with the TERA-LOW doesn't have these studs in it for the to bolt to the transmission. So we'll just have to move those over to here. I guess for whatever reason the guy I bought it from took them out, or probably his nuts were rusted to the studs and the studs came out of the transfer case rather than the nuts coming off the stud. I've had that happen before, and he put some RTV around here, which is just unnecessary. So I'm going to scrape that off so we don't have any problems with this sitting flush against the transmission, and we'll be ready to install. Nice and clean. Alright, I'm just going to throw a little bit of gear oil on the output shaft, or on the input shaft here, where this thing goes into the front of the transmission, because that rides up against the seal, and I don't want that to ride dry. So we're just going to lube it up a little bit first, then we'll slip this thing on.
pro tip, never drain your fluids until you get your fill plug off. You can see we're left a lovely little mess here. That thing's pretty well stripped. I'm going to try to pound the hex head that's maybe just a hair bigger than the one that's supposed to go in there. See if I can get it out and swap with one of the plugs on the other one. Otherwise, we're going to have to weld a little nut on there, and I'd prefer not to have to do that. Oh, success. Alright, that's a relief. I gotta go ahead and swap this with one from the other case anyway, just so we don't have to worry about it next time. Now we're just going to use some top of the line Walmart brand ATF plus 4, fill this thing up. Pro tip number 2, the caps that come on gear oil bottles actually fit these quart bottles for other fluids as well. So I keep this one specifically for ATF. It's perfect for fitting in like an ATF dipstick tube. So you get the auto trans filled tube, you can just stick that thing right in there instead of having to deal with a funnel, having to clean the funnel out after. Then I just have a plastic bag I keep this in, and we're going to use it for this too. Not sure how much this is supposed to take, so we'll just fill it until it starts coming out. I don't know if the camera caught that, because it keeps shutting off on me. Camera upgrade is certainly in the near future here, but I think it was a little over 2 quarts. Started pouring out on me, and we know it's full. You know, if there's one thing I love to do, clean up spilled fluids. Good time. Alright, we got everything plugged in. It's all filled with fluid. I'm going to consider this transfer case fully installed. Now we need to check out the drive shafts. So the guy that I got these from said that these things were sized for his TJ that had that transfer case in it, and he said it had a 6-inch lift on it at the time. So I'm not going to properly measure for drive shafts today. I'll do that at another point, but I'm just going to measure and see if we can get away with these drive shafts for now, knowing that we won't be wheeling. We're not going to fully compress the suspension or fully droop the suspension. I don't think droop will be a problem on these. I think these may be just a little too long for what we need, but we're just going to take some fully compressed measurements and make sure that I don't think we're going to bottom these things out the way we're set up right now. And like I said, I'll fully measure later for this. With the rear drive shaft fully compressed, we get about 21.5 inches from end of U-joint cap to outside end of U-joint cap on both ends. And if I pull it as far as this boot looks comfortable going, say we come to about 23.5 on that one. So range of 21.5 to 23.5, and then we just let this thing settle out and kind of go where it wants to go. We get about 22.5, so right in the middle there. So up front we've got about 39.5 inches at full compression, and then we'll, figure a few inches for expansion. Let's head under the Jeep and see what we got for measurements under there. And if we go from yoke to yoke on here, you're roughly 22. So that leaves us about a 1/2 inch of compression on the rear shaft before it bottoms out, which for now I'm just going to install the shaft. I'm probably not going to leave the driveway with it. I'm really just going to use it to drive around the yard. And yeah, I think the front shaft is going to be a similar story. I'm not going to bother measuring that one. I figure it's pretty much the same deal here. So let's throw her in, and I think we'll be done with this one for now. And we will revisit the drive shafts on a much more in-depth basis later on. at some point when I pull out the springs for the axles, and we're able to do a full compression and a full droop measurement on here, and we'll get a better number on that. But for now, I think the rear drive shaft's going to work just fine for moving this thing around. And just like that, we have a rear drive shaft. So I'm going to pop this thing into 4-low, then we'll go outside and we'll do another 50-foot time check.
So if we run the math on this, based on the 16.8 seconds it took us to go 50 feet with the 2.72 gears, we're looking at 24.75 seconds to go 50 feet on the 4-to-1 transfer case. So let's see if that's accurate. And we came up with 24.06 seconds, which is surprisingly accurate for basically kind of going by the seat of my pants on figuring out what point of the vehicle crossed the line where. So I'd say for sure we've got 4-to-1 gears. Well, that was a fairly straightforward install. It was a little bit easier because we didn't have a rear drive shaft to start with. We didn't put the front drive shaft in because I'm avoiding doing that right now to make it easier for when I build the front axle, so I don't have to disconnect it again. What else? We don't have the transfer case shifter in yet. That is currently in the works, so you can watch for something on that coming up pretty soon here. And I think the only issue I had, I don't know if I took any video of it, but the little studs that go into the base of the transfer case that bolt it to the transmission, those were misaligned on a few of them. It had nothing. I don't think it had anything to do with the Teraflex deal or what I did. I think it was just somebody that previously installed it, maybe cross-threaded them. They went in pretty easy for me, so I don't think I cross-threaded them, but they're just kind of misaligned a little bit, so I had to take a hammer and pound them straight. Not a big deal. But yeah, pretty pumped to have 4-to-1 low range. The lower gears we can get when we're doing rock crawling, the better. And that's kind of what I'm gearing this build towards. So yeah, as you can see, we've got plenty more to do, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. And just as we've been doing all along here, let's go ahead and add up what we spent today on this project. So previously, from the last episode, our total was $1,943.69. And today, we added the TERA-LOW transfer case and the Adams drive shafts. I bought this transfer case off of Craigslist, I think it was. A few months ago I bought it, so I can't remember exactly, but basically, I think the guy was asking like $700 for it maybe, and kind of tried to get him down to like $400 or $500, and eventually we settled on $600, and he would throw in a set of drive shafts. So I paid $600 for the case. He threw in the drive shafts for free. Cost me $47 in gas to get there, which with today's gas prices, you know, that was a few hours away. So a little bit of a time commitment there, but definitely seems to be a good deal. Not sure yet if I'm going to be able to use the drive shafts. They might be a little long for the height that I end up getting this Jeep to. And if the shafts end up being too long, then I'll probably go ahead and order a set of Tom Woods shafts. I've got nothing against Adams drive shafts, but I've always used Tom Woods, and I've had a great experience with them. They have great customer support, and definitely will continue buying shafts through them. I'll look into getting these shafts shortened, but if I remember last time I priced it out, it wasn't a whole lot more to just buy a whole new shaft from Tom Woods than it was to have the drive shafts shortened locally. So basically, if I buy a new shaft, I should be able to sell these ones and get a little bit of money back out of them, but that'll be down the road. So anyway, our total for today came to $647, and that brings our total for the build to date, including purchase price of the vehicle, up to $2,590.69. So we're past the halfway point to where I want to be. I really don't want to go over 5,000 on this. It's going to be kind of tough with the mods that I have planned coming up here, but we'll see if we can do it. So as usual, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.